Today we're joined by Bert Schildermans, our head of AI at Fightclub, and Rory Flynn, founder of Systematic AI and key international AI influencer from New York. They are tackling one of the biggest misconceptions in the AI boom, the dangerous lie that everyone can build AI products themselves. Bert and Rory will unpack what really happens when marketing meets development without the right expertise, and how to avoid the pitfalls that could cost your business thousands. Here is Bert to take it away.
All right, welcome to Pact, the podcast for challenger markets from Fightclub. My name is Bert Schildermans. I'm the head of AI at Fightclub, and currently, today we're here for unpacking one of the biggest misconceptions, I think, in the whole AI boom, which is the fact that everybody can suddenly build AI tools completely by themselves. I think everybody within the marketing or tech scene today has actually seen these posts flashing by on LinkedIn, TikTok, or whatsoever, where it's like, yeah, I'm this kind of person. I myself built these and these kind of tools. But actually, yeah, if you just look into it, it's not that simple, right? So right now, everybody's saying like, yeah, with Lovable, with NA10, with Base 44, everybody can start building. You have no excuses anymore. You just need to go for it. But I really think that's a big misconception right now, because I think it's really dangerous to just start building stuff without actually knowing what you're doing. People saying like, yeah, we're not really, you don't need to be a developer anymore. You can just do whatever you want. You can code, you can vibe, you do whatever. So actually just wanted to talk with you about like, yeah, do you see these same kind of things passing by? Is it like, yeah, it's really a big hurdle to go from knowing nothing at all towards actually building something that works and it's repeatable, it's a workflow, it's a process? Or how do you see these kind of things?
100%. I couldn't be more in agreement where I have a lot of experience working with SaaS tools from the marketing side, right? A lot of times I would get these products that are just like, why did you build this? Because you could? Did anyone want this actually? Or just build it?
Shiny new.
So you're talking about professionals who are really good at building there. They thought they had a market to begin with. Now you're talking about amateurs that probably don't have an idea for the market as well. So we're just like flooding the market with unuseful tools. I think a lot of times it's useful when you have like heavy experience in a certain area or a certain problem. And then you also know how to produce excellent output. So there's like a mixture that both has to happen to build the tools. So you have to know the problem so intricately, and then also know how to get the answer to the problem to then build a tool to automate it.
Yeah.
Right. So
like you need to know the ins and outs of a certain issue before you can start building stuff that is actually worth something to people that are doing it.
100%.
One of the examples that I have is I used to be like the data guy here at Fightclub as well. And I still remember like, I think it was 2023 when ChatGPT came out in like the first version where everybody could start and do these vibe coding tests. And for me, I did a lot of tracking things. I did a lot of data things. So it's like, how can we measure stuff online? So with the website, something like that. And a lot of times you needed some JavaScript coding for it. I myself, I'm not really a developer, but I do have a basic knowledge of knowing JavaScript, knowing Python and whatsoever. And when ChatGPT actually came out, I still remember it quite vividly. We had a client that thought, okay, now I can do everything myself.
Yeah.
He just asked ChatGPT, how can I actually start measuring these kind of things? He actually just implemented it. He didn't validate, he didn't test it. He just went for it because it's right. It seems like it's code, right? Nice. He did it. Yeah, of course, what happened? Website went down for a few hours because nobody knew what happened. Their development team couldn't get towards Google Tag Manager because that's like the marketing department. It's not the coding of the website itself. So yeah, a few hours, no websites, no tracking, no people buying stuff. So
no way to fix it either. Who knows what they changed?
No fixes, right? No purchases. Yeah. So they just lost a bunch of money just because somebody thought he was really good at finding solutions in ChatGPT right now.
Yeah, I don't claim to be anywhere near a level of someone that can create a tool like that. Like I played around with the tools like Lovable and Cursor and things like that. And I understand the baseline functionality. I'm not one that's going to say that I know how to go and build an entire business off of that. But it's the same underlying problems that I see with just about everyone that gets into the AI space and says, I can build a business or I can build this with no experience in said space. Like, you look back probably like 2 years and I saw a bunch of stuff on LinkedIn. It was like, I'm building a copywriting business all based on AI. But it's like, you're an accountant. Like, you've never been a copywriter. You don't know what good copywriting is. I'm not saying you can't know what good copywriting is, but majority of the time, you don't know what problem you're solving. And I say that a lot in the creative space too, because you have a lot of people that have never worked in the creative space. Now they're AI filmmakers, right? They never had to deal with a client that's come back and said, like, change this little tiny thing in this little tiny space, in this one frame. And if you only know AI, you can't do that. So it's like, yeah, that if you have like sort of a hybrid, I always say AI is like basically just an amplifier of whatever you're really good at it. So if you're a photographer and you use AI, that's awesome. And you also know how to use Photoshop, then you can use AI to get what you want, but you also have the ability to do stuff manually if it doesn't work. So, the tools have limitations. They're only as good as they are at the present day, which is today. They all expand and they grow. But naturally, I still think it's an amplifier of whatever you're good at. And it's not going to just like, unless you are obsessed and learning and constantly curious.
Still, again, there's like a certain amount of time that will take you before you actually get towards that certain goal of where you want to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions today as well. It's like, okay, you have all these tools and of course everybody can start building creatives or movies or videos. But it's indeed, like you mentioned, if you don't know anything about videography, or this is the placement of how a camera should be, or the angles, or this is like the sphere or the scenery that you want to get, then you're actually not, you're getting like the 95% of this is really good material, but not like that 100%. And then, do you see like, okay, there's a certain timing that it takes you with AI or even without AI before you can actually get towards that certain level?
There's definitely time. I mean, like, I think it's all based on curiosity and desire. Like if you are obsessed, like if you're an obsessive personality, you're going to be awesome because you're just going to want to find different solutions and you aren't satisfied with, oh, that didn't work. AI sucks. Can't do it. Like it's like, well, if I tried this way, it didn't work. How about I tried this? Or maybe I tried this tool or I break it into 2 steps and I do it in 2 steps. It's a tinkerer's mentality in a sense as of right now, which I don't think will always be the case.
No.
But that's why you see certain roles that really excel with AI. I think you have a lot of, like post-production people who work in video editing. They're exceptional with it because they're used to, here's all this stuff, go make something with it. And they have to make
like the trial and error kind of.
And they have to make stuff look good. A lot of times it's like, here's this really bad footage. Can you like make this exciting? And they do.
Out of it,
So, and then them having the skills to just sort of take what's given. And also I think, like a post-production type person, you can think in terms of edit and what you need and you can like reverse engineer. So, again, if you're a developer and you think in terms of that way and then you want to build with the tools, you can think with that in mind of how you want to end up and it's easier to get there. So I just think it's always, if you want to learn and you're obsessed, you will get there. It's going to become only easier. But I still think that life experience of being like battered by, by either bad stuff that you've done in the past, like, I've agency life, I've been on my own, I've been a freelancer, I've been an entrepreneur, like I've taken my punches. Like I know where things are coming most of the time. It's just easier to develop or to build like around that instead of like taking those arrows for the first time when you're like, I'm an entrepreneur and I started an AI business. It's like, okay, well, you're going to get beat down definitely by clients or customers or whoever. You have to learn. You have to get that some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, because right now what you guys are building, it's like a lot of creative flows and creative funnels. Of course, before you actually create these funnels itself, of course, you need to know how of some videographers or photographers and how you can actually create the whole sceneries. But still, you need to have like this trial and error phase where you have like a lot of different analysis that you need to do, or you just try and experiment with stuff. What's like the breaking point where you guys see, okay, we spent X amount of tokens, X amount of time on certain things, we really can't create it? Or is there like a certain positioning where you put yourself there? Or is it like, no, just keep going until we find something that actually works for our clients?
It's a really good question. A lot of times I always feel like if we've tested enough and it doesn't work and we've gone through a number of different angles, like the tools just aren't there yet. Like my goal initially with every new tool is how can I break this? How far can I push this? You think about testing a physics model when a video model comes out. It's like, let me put a girl dancing in a room of mirrors. Like, can it handle all of that reflection? Can it handle all of that movement? can handle all the refraction. Like that to me is a good test. Like if it can do that, I'm like, all right, we can do some more complex stuff.
Yeah.
Video models also like driving cars. Like cars might seem really simple, but if I want a car to do like a skidding turn around a corner, accelerate, have the camera swing and like do all these micro movements that might be available in a video game or a movie. And I can see that it can do that right away. Like I've developed sort of a protocol in a lot of the areas, especially on the image side as well, like really asking for ridiculous things to see, number one, is this stuff coherent enough to listen? Like a skateboard riding a person instead of the other way around. Because a lot of times if you confuse it, it doesn't understand. And if it listens, it's like, okay, I know this can execute. So it's really developed. I mean, that's just trial and error over time. Most of it, we haven't really hit something outside of video that we cannot do. Like video is still like that open space where it's like, we can't do that.
Yeah.
3D, I think you're seeing that, but that's all it's going to change every month.
Yeah,
right.
Whenever something new comes out, and like with ChatGPT creating something new with Sora right now, which will definitely be on imagery as well.
Because that's what's different with Sora now is that you can put an idea and it can create a full reel where it's 10 seconds of cuts, dialogue, consistent characters, consistent environments, whereas that might take 6 tools on the other side of it. Yeah. So it's always developing, but I think just having the ability to test something when it comes out, like put it to the stress test early. And if there's positive signs, go that direction. If there's not, it's like we can just wait on that tool.
Because that's like the same thing that you propose to clients right now. Is it like a structured phase? Because right now with Fight Club as well, we have like our AI team and we work in a certain kind of way. Because what I'm noticing is that there are like 2 camps in AI, or it's like I'm going to be rich from AI and I can create everything and who I'm the big guy. Or there are people that are more skeptical for it. And even the ones that are, let's say, oh, AI, let's go for it. Even they are skeptical of what the results will be.
Yeah.
So what we are doing right now is really like have a stepped or a phased approach towards, okay, first we're going to test hypotheses. Can we actually create these kind of things? Then it's not necessarily only on visuals or video, but also really on creating front-end solutions for them. Can we build it? If we have our first smoke test there, then we start actually iterating on automating all stuff. Is it for you guys like the same, or is it in the US already more involved as in AI first thinking and it's more easy?
Heavy skepticism. Yeah. There's definitely still heavy skepticism. I think the US is so focused on job loss that they're not focusing on what job gain could be. And I'm not going to be the one that sits here and like prognosticates that we're going to have like this job explosion. There would definitely be industries that get changed like significantly. Yeah. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know how it evolves. I don't know how hard it comes. But, a lot of times is getting over the skepticism is just showing the breadth and the vastness of it. And also the speed. I think if you are good enough, like especially if you're building front end stuff, to make edits on the fly and you show someone that, like you're showing what you're doing in, I don't know, Lovable or Cursor, you're like, oh, I want to change this, and this, enter, watch the code generate in about a minute and a half, and then the whole product changes. It's like, yeah, that's pretty cool. That means we can be fluid with the times. Like something doesn't work, we release an update. Like bugs are there. Just like pop it back to the old update, or the old version, hit enter, like let's go. Like, and it's like that kind of stuff to me is incredible that it can do that. And then also from a testing standpoint, I come from, a lot of marketing side. We're doing landing pages, things like that. We can mold and manipulate in real time instead of always having to wait 2 weeks, wait 3 weeks, wait 4 weeks. So that stuff I find to be like the holy grail is speed. Like a lot of times I'm being very selective on clients at this point, people that I work with. There has to be an understanding. There is, there's a way that AI can work, and it can work 95% of the time. If that 5% happens, it's also like, we still have the back end creative like ability to do the real work. So that's like always to me is a big piece of it is if it can't get done with AI, the real work can get done. But then also the speed at which the stuff can get done, how fluid we can be, and what the sort of risks are, what the benefits are. But honestly, it's just showing like real world stuff. That's why it's hard for, I think, these newer companies to get in, because they're like, I built this thing, but it's like, do you have any actual, like, does it work for anyone?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Even today we're talking out here, start showing stuff that we put into the market, and you see everyone paying a little bit more attention. It's like, oh, that worked. Like, yes, this is how we did it. These are the problems that were evident to us. It might not be the same problems that you're facing, but it's like, oh, you can solve that problem. But that if you can solve that problem, you can solve this one. So start to see everyone's mind open when you show them the vastness of it, which sounds very generic, but it really is. Once you get people's on the snowball downhill, it's like we're full go now, full sprint to it. So I think it's just getting people over that edge of like, I'm scared.
So the biggest hurdle to take is actually get those first clients in, making sure that you have some of the use cases, examples to showcase, this is what we are doing, this is how we work. And then once you have that one, you can actually start reeling people in towards your solutions and showcasing them, see, this is how it works, and then they'll start believing.
I think clients, I think if I was a client and I was skeptical, I would also have to be under the understanding that like this is still infancy stages of everything. But like, why would I not want to be ahead of that? Like that's where I lose sort of like my connection with the other side of the skepticism, where it's just like, when has life ever slowed down for us since we've been alive? Like, when has anything waited for us to just be like, oh, maybe I'm ready? Like, you know what I mean? It certainly didn't wait for the internet. It certainly didn't wait for social media. It was definitely not going to wait for this. It's just going to go. So why wait and be skeptical of it when it's now been proven for 2 years, 3 years at this point?
People are using it.
They're using it. It's everywhere. It obviously works. It's obviously capable.
It's scaling.
These companies are out of control. NVIDIA is the biggest company in the world, right? It's like, what else am I missing? I don't know. So, we can bury our head in the sand, or we can sort of accept that this is the direction. So I sometimes have to have a harsh conversation there, but that's really it. It's like, are we just going to ignore the fact? You think about everyone that, to go back, not to go too down the rabbit hole, you think about every company that thought social media was a fad, right? Then you have companies that got on it early and just blew it out, and while it was easy to like blow it out and not have any competition.
And then the longer it stays in, the more difficult it becomes to be that different one.
Yeah. When there's
social media channel and
200,000 users versus 2 billion users, never get any exposure. And now the brands that did it early reap the benefits. And they took all the slings, they got good at it before everyone got on it. And then when everyone got on it and they're like, well, how do I do this thing? It's like, oh, we don't have any content because we don't know how to create content. Now it's just like post a product image onto Instagram and hope people buy stuff. It's not the way that it works. So think about it very similar.
How do you see towards like certain people that, for instance, on LinkedIn, you have a lot of people who are posting their N8N flows, and it's like, comment N8N or flow, or I want to work in my life again in the posts, and I'll share it with you, and then you actually get it, and then of course it's working, or the API, stuff like that. So I totally get it. Like, there's a lot of people who are sending really valuable things as well, but do you maybe have like a few things that you can share that you already see in the market of, okay, if these are the kinds of people, or if this is what they promise, it's definitely going to be bullcrap and not worth your time?
Yeah. Any two-step post. So that's what it's called. I come from that world. Two-step post is, basically, here's this cool thing I created, comment this to get it, or leave your email, or drop me a DM. That stuff's all just lead magnets. They're trying to siphon you to their email address, to their email list, and then they're going to email market you to death. I'm an email marketer, so this is how, from a design background, we ran an email marketing agency, so I have a big sort of understanding of how to do that stuff, and that was all part of what we did. Totally understand it. I did it when I started. I think it's a way to generate, it's basically engagement farming. Nothing wrong with it. Look, everyone does it when you're trying to grow a presence. If you have an organic presence online, it's a huge asset, and giving those kind of tools away to people is just like you throw people into a frenzy. They're like, I need that. They don't even know what it means. They don't even know how to use it.
It seems cool.
They just like free.
Just working.
Yeah. And it's, I see some of them and I look at it and I'm like, you've never done this before in your life. Like, you've never actually done this workflow. This is not, because it's so inefficient. You see how many extra steps there are.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I look at it, I'm like, you don't need that. And you start to, when you build workflows, I'm assuming that's a lot with the N8N side too. You tend to start really big, and then it's like, do I need this? And then you start to like really condense it. So when I see stuff that's way more condensed and it's like maybe 4 or 5 steps versus like 85, like running back and forth in a snake pattern. And it's like, this will make you post every day, all viral videos, all run through VO3 to every single social account. I'm like, it's just pointless. It's just making it big so you get excited about it.
Yeah, indeed.
And that's really it. Like,
and that's where for me it's also quite dangerous to have all people just downloading stuff like that, because like for instance VO3, it's really nice to use, but it's also quite expensive in terms of tools.
Yeah.
So if you actually don't know that part and you're just putting your Google account towards it, you just start testing and hey, this is fun. I can create 80 videos as well. And you just start doing it. And when you're actually at like video number 50, you'll get like a huge invoice from Google saying, hey, you use a lot of tokens.
Here's a $50,000 bill.
50 maybe not, but
no,
it's like it can be quite expensive. And there I think it's becoming more and more dangerous for all these like wannabe gurus that are just farming for engagement and content and whatsoever. They are also like disrupting the AI market, but in like the wrong way. They're like making it more and more difficult for the ones that are actually doing it like you should do it with the right mindset, with like experimentation, testing things out. And they're just, creating that more friction towards everybody who wants to start using it in the right way.
It's definitely a tough place to navigate through LinkedIn, right? Like I've grown my business on LinkedIn. I was successful on LinkedIn, and that was the channel that I chose because that's where I wanted to be in front of that audience. Like, it's high leverage, right? Like, I take LinkedIn super seriously. Like, I don't put trash out on LinkedIn because I know who's looking. And I'll put trash out on Twitter. I'm not above that. I'll do the dumb stuff on Twitter. But LinkedIn's like, if I'm bringing something, I'm bringing the heat because I'm seeing it. I'm seeing who's responding to me. I know who's looking at my stuff. And I want to, be as presentable as possible there. Like, this is real business. I think a lot of people caught on to LinkedIn being really easy at the time to grow, where it was 2 years ago. You could go on there and really get a lot of attention because there was not a lot of people posting.
Yeah,
so
true.
You went on there and you saw what the people were doing at the time, what they were preaching, which was like this 2-step. You give away free stuff. You do this. And it's like all systematized in template. You see the same hooks from the same people that do the same stuff. Yeah. It's like, but it does create this sort of like vibe around it that like 80% of AI is trash, which a lot of it is because people are just posting as it gets engagement and not about actual like the real things that work. And then it just turns you off because it's like there's so little people that are posting quality stuff. And then a lot of the people that have quality stuff aren't going to post about it because it's too valuable to post about. Like, I have things that I post about everything and give just about 90% away for free. There's some stuff like what we talked about in there today that I just cannot, because I know those little snakes will go on there and steal it and sell it for thousands of dollars, right? So it's like, here's my free guide, and then that free guide turns into join my mastermind for $19.97, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is how the whole funnel works, right?
Yeah.
You know this.
Yeah, we have the same kind of issues.
Mm-hmm.
But again, for like these people, they are a part of the problem with AI. But I also think like AI is being used too many times. And for me, one of the dangers of AI as well is like, I see a lot of like smaller kids and stuff that are already starting to use ChatGPT for whatever issue they're facing, or just using it as a conversational partner. And it's only getting worse and worse and worse with more people just trying to use the tools itself. And for me, they're the biggest issue. There are like two issues in my mind. First is critical thinking with like the youth. I think it's going to be a really good skill to keep on having. And I really hope that the school of my kids will actually learn them how to be a bit critical, because a lot of stuff right now, you can just search for it. It will give you an overview. Potentially it's not even right. And they'll just say, I know the answer. This is the answer. Which that if they would just look at the sources, they would have known it's not true. Yeah. And for me, the second part as well is like, all these tools are and models, they are retrained on their own stuff. So if a lot more people are actually using it for bullcrap things, then potentially the system itself will become less and less useful for everyone who wants to start using it in a high quality kind of level.
Totally. I 100% agree on the tool side of things, the regurgitating of information. I don't pretend to know what the reasoning model development is going to look like over time and how quickly we're going to get to, real AGI stuff. And that might change in terms of how it intakes information. But the critical thinking piece, I'm really hyper positive on this stuff. And I think it's like I've seen my my cousin's younger kids and like the younger kids in my life, they use it really creatively. Like it's not just to do homework, and I've seen some of the stuff, and I'm like, that's so they haven't been beaten down. Like I say this like very, very lovingly. Like anyone who's worked in an agency setting before, if you haven't been beaten down by a client or by something, like you have a great life, because I've been beaten down a million times. But like they're not thinking about the restrictions. They're not thinking about, I can't do this because of this, or I can't do this because the brand guidelines doesn't say so. It's like they're just creating. And I've worked with a few teachers early on, and I think that's where we're gonna have to take the responsibility. If we don't want our kids to, my daughter, I think about this every day, is what is her life gonna look like in school? She's 1.5. I have no idea when she gets to school in 5 years, or 4 years. But I've worked with a lot of teachers. We sort of come up with different game plans and strategies on how to engage kids, right? Like instead of, writing a book report on Napoleon, right? Like instead of reading a textbook, writing a report on what you found, which is basically just regurgitating and writing. It's like, how do we make this interesting with the tools? We already know they're going to use them, right? If we make the general assumption they're going to use that.
Yeah.
So how do we make this more engaging and more critical thinking? It's like, let's turn them into a Rolling Stone magazine reporter, and they're interviewing Napoleon, and then we're going to take that interview and then we're going to build like a newspaper article or a magazine article. We're going to attach images, we're going to design it. So it's like we're taking the same project and we're refocusing it to be like more engaging and more like critical thinking wise. Okay, I have to interview him. I have to come up with questions. Like we can tell ChatGPT to be Napoleon, and I have to come up with the questions. And then once I take the questions, I have to write it in an editorial fashion. So I have to figure out how to prompt ChatGPT like that. Then I have to take like the answers and sort of like apply them into a visual sort of space so I can create images around it and then build like the centerfold article in the page. And I'm like, if I was a kid, I would be so into that. We're just reading the book and being like, yes, he went here on this date and did this. And then that was great because he did that. It's like, I'm probably going to learn more about him by asking him questions via ChatGPT than having to just read and, this is, and I'm also talking about this from an American perspective, by the way. Our schools are very boring in some sense. Like we're not ultimately like really learning, we're memorizing a lot of the times. So I think that and being able to write and being able to ask questions and problem solve within that same little project is a really long answer, but I think might be interesting for people that are listening to know that's how, we're working with teachers in some way, shape, or form to rethink the way they instruct.
Yeah.
Because it's a new medium.
Yeah,
right?
It's true. But then potentially the issue might only become bigger because, as you say, like there will be a lot of kids who are more into, okay, this is about Napoleon. I'm just going to ask some things about Napoleon and I'll get some answers and I'll need to think critically about it. But you won't get the people that fall in love with books.
Sure.
So potentially you will have less writers or people who actually are into writing.
Great point.
Same could be for photography.
Yeah.
People are just used to saying, I want this, I want to have this sunset, and they won't fall in love with trying to recreate that one specific moment. And then I think the biggest fear or the biggest issue could potentially be that if we don't have the people that are into some of these things already from their own perspective or from things that they had done in the past or whatsoever, then will we still have like these really good experts to be the ones controlling the AI systems that everybody is working with? Because what you mentioned in the beginning, you need to have some sort of a background in photography, videography to make sure that you know everything about the scenery.
Mm-hmm.
But if the kids from today are already learning all these things from AI and not by really doing it and testing it out in real life, will they still be the same kind of expert that we need to make sure that everything is that high quality of an input?
I don't even know, like at this point, if we're going to need that expert, right? Like this is like getting way more deep than probably like, like I see like less need for a lot of things as these systems develop. I think it's going to be a lot more about chasing interest for our children than it is going to be about executing certain tasks, right? Like I see a lot of the manufacturing space looking a lot differently. I'm seeing a lot of manual service space looking a lot differently. A lot of what we do is going to look different. I mean, I have a positive outlook on everything as to where it can go and what it can be if it keeps developing the right way. And we keep treating it as a way for us to thrive instead of a way for us to sort of just do more work. Yeah. Which I think is definitely see it. I saw that early on. I was like, oh, we can just do more stuff now in the same amount of time. We're not going to do less. We're just going to do more. So I think it's going to look different. Like personally, I can only speak from my experience is that I'm more interested in photography than I ever was. Mm-hmm. I was already interested, but the ability for me to now play in a space without having to have the risk of failure. Like the risk of failure is good. I think it helps, but also I don't have $12,000 to spend on a really high-end camera and test that out, when I'm a kid. I can maybe like use my imagination and test it out there and then like work my whole life to get to that point where it's like I can buy this Hasselblad camera and I'm going to go do everything with it. So I'm just speaking from generalities there. I think it can go either way. I think we can have really good stuff. I think we can have really bad stuff. We'll see all of the above.
Yeah, we'll see.
It'll be the weirdest next 5 years we could possibly ever imagine. But I hope that, the kids are, just from what I've seen from children as of recently, like taking their drawings and animate, they're doing the hand drawings. We put them into the machines and they animate them and it brings them to life. They're like so amped about it. Yeah. So, you can see where the positives are. You can see what the negatives are. I'm really hoping that it just opens up a more creative generation. Yeah. Like really creative. I think everyone's an artist in their own way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. That's my own personal opinion. I just want to see more of it. I don't want the person, to feel like I have to be an accountant.
Yeah, that's it. I don't want to have the people lose that creativity and keep thinking everything is possible if they can just imagine it.
Yeah, no hate on accountants there. By the way, I don't know if that's what everyone I can't think of something that's more opposite than what I do. But at the same time, it's just like if an accountant has a creative mind and they can go actually get it and be creative, great. They don't have to be stuck in a spreadsheet every single day. Yeah. So.
Or they can be stuck in that spreadsheet, but overnight they can also do other creative
an outlet
if they like it. Yeah,
so they don't have to learn how to go. If that's a creative outlet instead of drawing, there's nothing wrong with that. That's creation. If you like cooking instead of doing AI, like cooking is creation. To me, it's just finding something to get and express your thoughts or your feelings or your emotions out of your body and into something else.
And in a positive way, hoping that your inner child will keep being in there because he can actually push it via creativity with AI or
100%
stuff like that. Yeah. I'm also hoping that if we look at it in the most positive way possible, it will also be like a great catalyzer to make sure that whenever you have those moments in nature or in real life or with like that fancy camera that perhaps once you actually can afford, that just having those specific moments will actually make it bigger or make it even better than it was before, because right now we're used to having everything that we want, or that's like the major goal in life, to have everything you want.
Yeah.
But having those things or just making sure that we have more of these times or moments that will actually create more value for our lives itself.
I'm really hoping that. Yeah. I'm really hoping for the abundance side of the equation where it works, we figure it out, we all become like a little bit more sane than we are currently in this current moment. And, we can enjoy the things that actually, like, contrary to popular belief, I don't like technology. I'd rather be outside feral in the woods running around barefoot, like, honestly, but that doesn't pay the bills and I cannot live a life that way and my wife would probably divorce me. But yeah, that's sort of how I, and when I do get outdoors and I do sit outside, I do just phone, see ya. Like none of that. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. I just want to enjoy because this is now every day and this is now everything we do because we're all going to be banged over the head with it for the next 5 years, at least at a minimum, where there's this rush to get there. And then what happens when we get there? I don't know. What happens when we get to that point?
That one scene from WALL-E where it's like all people sitting in their chair just looking at. I'm just hoping we are not going that direction.
It's like some people might want to do that. Like, I think there's going to be I think there'll probably be a bunch of problem solvers that see stuff like that. And you have, an older generation that might not be able to leave their house that much. Can we put them in a virtual space with their families? Like, can get in like a virtual headset and like start the sensory feel like in the same room with their family, and like you guys can hang out that way. We don't have to, if they can't move or can't leave, we live on opposite sides of the country, other countries, like we can bring people together. Again, I'm thinking about this from the positive standpoint. I just see like there's so many opportunities to take this stuff and build like awesome things that benefit us without, we don't have to go and build, the most like scientifically advanced weapons ever. We can build things that like put grandparents and grandchildren together. Like we don't have to do that. So, everyone can have their own opinion. I'm really positive. I just want to be that way too. I have to be that way, or else this wouldn't be like my life every day would not be good. I would be very depressed all the time.
You're always skeptical.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I think we spoke a lot about a lot of different potential issues that we see in AI, but also a lot of different solutions that can be there. I think the main takeaways are actually make sure you start experimenting first. Don't burn everything. Make sure that you can really see which are the people on LinkedIn that don't really want you to succeed. Yes. They just want to succeed themselves. So if you see something like that, always think, is this something that I need, or is it something that I want, or is it something that they just push as a marketing solution for them and not purely myself? I think we need to be more responsible with all the AI things that we are doing ourselves, and we need to stay positive ourselves
100%
with the whole outcome. And the more positive that we are, the more upsides that we see towards everything AI solutions everywhere, then I think we can make sure that the world actually sees it or perceives it more positively as well. Because a lot of skepticism is out there, but also a lot of potential, I think, still that we can actually start gaining.
Let's hope. Let's hope that that's the way that it goes. If anyone needs a positivity spike, I'm always here. I'm always around. I'll try to keep it that way at all times.
Yes, thank you for that one. For our viewers, until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and keep building smart. Thank you.
And that's Pacts. If you take one thing from this conversation, let it be this. You don't need to be the biggest player in the market to outsmart and outperform. If you're ready to stop playing by the giants' rules and start writing your own, we're here to help. Visit us at fightclubagency.com/pact to get packed with the full show's notes and download our one-page strategy blueprint. Or follow us at Fight Club Agency on Instagram for our daily tips and tricks. Until next time, for new insights on how to outsmart and outperform.